In the small town of Enugu, there lived a woman named Ngozi who was notorious for her extreme stinginess. She was a successful businesswoman who owned a chain of restaurants and shops, but she was known to pinch pennies and deny her employees even the smallest of benefits. Ngozi's obsession with saving money was legendary. She would reuse plastic bags, turn off lights in empty rooms, and even ration her own food. Her employees would often joke that she must have been born with a calculator in her hand, so obsessed was she with counting every single naira. Despite her wealth, Ngozi lived in a small, modest house on the outskirts of town. She drove an old, rickety car and wore the same faded clothes every day. Her only indulgence was a small, exquisite collection of antique jewelry that she kept locked away in a safe deposit box at the bank. The most surprising part of it all was that no one knew that Ngozi had worn one single underwear for complete 10 years. It had numerous holes and Ngozi had manually stitched it several places. She hated helping people or involving herself in anything that would cost her money. Even the people around her knew that she was not just stingy to others but also to herself. She hardly purchases anything from the market apart from food. Her clothes and shoes were mostly worn out. She had only one handbag and it was already old and have peeled in several places. Ngozi's plates and spoon were also old and rickety. One day, a young woman named Chika applied for a job at Ngozi's restaurant. Chika was a single mother struggling to make ends meet, and she was desperate for a job to support her young daughter. Ngozi was impressed by Chika's determination and work ethic, and she offered her the job on the spot. But as Chika soon discovered, working for Ngozi was no picnic. The woman was a taskmaster, demanding impossible hours and impossible standards from her employees. Despite the challenges, Chika was determined to make a success of her new job. She worked tirelessly, often going above and beyond to please Ngozi. But no matter how hard she worked, Ngozi always found fault. One day, Chika's daughter fell ill, and she was forced to take a day off to care for her. Ngozi was furious, and she docked Chika's pay for the day. Chika was devastated, and she began to wonder if working for Ngozi was worth the stress and hardship. As the days turned into weeks, Chika found herself growing more and more resentful of Ngozi's stinginess. She began to see the woman as a symbol of everything that was wrong with the world: greed, selfishness, and a complete lack of compassion. But one day, something unexpected happened. Ngozi fell ill, and she was forced to rely on Chika to care for her. Ngozi's condition became worse by the day. Her health kept deteriorating, and she was asked to pay a huge amount of money to be able to receive treatment. The doctor told her that her system was down and that she had not been taking good care of herself. Ngozi felt really bitter as she thought about the amount of money she had to spend in the hospital. It was almost all her life savings. At first, she was reluctant to release the money, but on seeing that she was gradually dying every day, she managed to give the money up. From that moment, she began to have a rethink about her attitude towards money and how she had completely ignored her personal well-being. As Chika nursed Ngozi back to health, she began to see the woman in a different light. Despite her tough exterior, Ngozi was vulnerable and scared. She was haunted by the memories of her past, and she was desperate to make amends for her mistakes. As Chika listened to Ngozi's story, she began to understand the reasons behind the woman's stinginess. Ngozi had grown up in poverty, and she had been forced to fight for every scrap of food and every penny. She had learned to be resourceful and frugal, but she had also learned to be afraid of losing everything. As Chika listened to Ngozi's story, she felt a surge of compassion and empathy. She realized that the woman was not just a stingy employer, but a complex and multifaceted human being. From that day on, Chika's relationship with Ngozi changed. She still worked hard, but she also began to see the woman as a person, rather than just a boss. And as she did, she discovered that Ngozi was not just stingy, but also generous and kind. Ngozi began to open up to Chika, sharing her secrets and her fears. She began to trust her, and she even started to show her a softer side. Chika was amazed by the transformation, and she found herself growing to love and respect the woman. As the months passed, Ngozi's business began to flourish. Chika's hard work and dedication had paid off, and the business was now one of the most popular in town. Ngozi was overjoyed, and she rewarded Chika with a generous raise and a bonus. But more importantly, Ngozi had finally found a sense of peace and contentment. She had learned to let go of her fears and her insecurities, and she had discovered the joy of giving and sharing. As Chika looked at Ngozi, she saw a woman who was no longer stingy, but generous and kind. She saw a woman who had finally found happiness and fulfillment, and she knew that she had played a small part in her transformation. And as they hugged each other tightly, Chika knew that she had learned a valuable lesson. She had learned that even the stingiest of people can change, and that sometimes, all it takes is a little bit of love and compassion.